Hey folks, Nick Larock here. Welcome to my workshop here at Helderberg Guitar Works. I'm starting a new project where I take old beat up or broken guitars, fix them, give them a nice setup and then swap them for something a bit more valuable but in worse off condition. The first guitar in this series is this steel string acoustic electric Caraya. It has a Fishman Princess 2 pickup and is perfect for beginners or intermediate guitar players. This guitar had a broken headstock, and in this video I will show you all the steps I took to get it to where it is now. Start with the fixing of the headstock, all the way to the setup, which included some work on the saddle and the nut. Please excuse the quality of this video. I started off with an idea, but I didn't have all the details figured out yet. So I took videos of all the steps, and they're all there, but still there's some in portrait and some are in landscape, and it's a mess. So I decided to record this intro and then narrate the rest of the video. You will, however, see exactly what I did. And to the next owner of this guitar, this video will give you an in-depth idea of everything that was done to this guitar. So without any further ado, let me get started with it.
This is the guitar, the Caraya, before I started with the repairs. There you can see the pickup, nice Fishman Princess 2. And the broken headstock. This guitar has been repaired previously, but it didn't do a very good job of it because it broke on the repair again. Here you can see the previous repair used a dowel, and there's still some glue residue left that I had to clean up before I could glue it back to the body. For my repair I decided to use an epoxy because there's always going to be some residual glue left or minor microscopic holes where I removed the old glue and some wood fibers came out. I decided to use the epoxy to fill up those minor crevices and holes, and I also decided to use the dowel that was in there as a location pin. This is after the repair, and I've sanded the headstock down. You can still see some black spots where the previous repair just sprayed something without filling up the holes before spraying. Here I'm fading in the black with my airbrush, and after I sprayed the black, I sprayed the whole neck and headstock with a clear coat. Now it's time to just clean out those machine head holes and place the machine heads back. And then I put the machine heads back. And I have one of these 3D printed 10mm finger tight sockets that I use to tighten my machine heads with. Just check the torque on the machine heads. I've decided to put 11 gauge strings on this guitar. It's a nice middle of the road gauge. Some people find 12 gauge a bit heavy, so 11 is always a good middle ground. Over here I'm just checking to make sure that the string ball ends go in and sits properly on the inside with the breech plate, but this guitar breech pin holes were too small, so I reamed them out a bit to make sure the breech pins fit nice and snug and deep enough so that the breech itself won't split when people force the breech pins in. Just finished it off with the Dremel there. And now the breech pins and strings fit better. Just tuning it up before I start to do my assessment of the setup. Over here I'm just double checking that the ball ends of the strings seated properly on the breech plate. I like to check my guitars with a cap on the first fret. So I've got the cap on the first fret. Now I'm looking for a 0.2 mm feeler gauge. So I like to check for a 0.2 mm neck relief on the 7th fret while fretting the 1st and the 12th fret. I'm making an adjustment. It was a bit too low, so I just raised it slightly. And you have to tune your guitar again after you make, well, any adjustments. Then I take a measurement of the action at the 12th fret. I write down the measurements so that I know where we started. So at the end I can look back to see if we made an improvement. Now I'm just checking all the strings for buzzes. To make sure there aren't any problems, any extreme problems on the fretboard. The next measurements I take are the measurements of the string height at the first fret, and this will tell me how much work I have to do on the nut. I've loosened the strings now. I'm removing the saddle and I'm going to sand down the saddle to the appropriate height. I use this nut sanding jig, nut and saddle sanding jig, to help me get an accurate and square bottom on my nuts and saddles. Now I'm placing it back, stringing it up again, tuning it, see how much of an improvement, if any, I made to the action. Capo back on, checked with my height gauge again, action gauge, and I'm checking all the frets on all the strings again for buzzes. This is also to show the next owner that all the strings and all the frets on all the strings are buzz free. Now I'm going to use my gauged fret files, my gauged nut files, to make sure all those nut slots are nice and smooth, and this will help with keeping your guitar in tune. And some of the slots I'm going to make a little bit deeper to make the action on the first fret more playable. I noticed there was some residue of something on the fretboard, so I just cleaned it while I was at it. Take a razor blade and clean it off, and then put some linseed oil on it again. This is where I just make the nut a bit more playable. So when you touch on the nut with your left hand, when you're playing your open chords, you've got a smooth nut under your hands. Just gives a more refined feel to the nut and the guitar. I like to glue my nuts in, otherwise they just keep falling out when you do your string changes. And I like to do the final sanding and polishing of the nut while it's on the guitar. And again, stringing it up, tuning it up. And we're almost done now. Cutting off the string ends is the second last step. With the last step, just an overall wipe of the microfiber cloth. Now it's just the final cleaning, and this brings us to the end of this video. I hope the next owner of this guitar finds this video informative. It gives you an in-depth understanding of what I did to the guitar, and feel free to contact me if you have any further questions. Also keep in mind that for the next owner I will adjust the action to their personal preference. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm Nick Lerock from Helderberg Guitar Works.